We are so humbled to be here today and launch this amazing community, Nairobi R. So Nairobi R is a quote-unquote baby of Africa R initiative. So I don't know if I'm familiar to most of you, but I used to be a lecturer at JKUAT. I used to help or assist a certain professor train R. So imagine this being a lab, and the professor is in front. Then I'm we call them KYM. You know KYM? Handsman people, to just help people debug their codes. So one time this professor he gives exams and they're not always easy, or they are never easy. One time, a certain student approached me, and he was like, why do people have to teach us these hard things? Where will they help us in life? And we were teaching R. So, you know, as a lecturer, you have to be bold and like, these things are very important. Let me tell you, when you finish school, oh, blah, blah, blah. Then I went back to my room. I'm like, okay, why are we teaching R in the first place? How will we apply it in life? So it's led me to doing a lot of research, and I landed on Twitter. And I don't know, Twitter is so much different from Facebook for me. Twitter is more of a learning platform where many people post the works that they are doing on Twitter. And so just coming up, I got to research a lot, got to know a lot of things that R could do that we were not even teaching ourselves. And so I started looking for a job, and I think in 5 months, I got a data analytics job at a company called Busara. And I think from there, that was the beginning of not the beginning, I left teaching for a while. And then, so just being at work, I could do, you know, you research, you get to know about so many things that you can apply at work. And so that's why we are launching Nairobi R today, because we, the advanced R users, want to show you guys how much R is easy to use. R is open source. You don't have to pay anything for it. The community is so large. Research, educational materials are so many out there. I'm paid to use R every day for 8, 9, 10 hours. Like, I use R every day. If my comp does not have R, I'm not working. So yeah, Africa R. Why did we come up with this initiative? There was I don't know how to put it. When you go to Twitter, there's a group or a hashtag called RStats, and you will notice that only white people engage before Africa R. Only white people were engaging with RStats. So RStats is a very nice hashtag where people who just learn stuff post them using that hashtag. So someone reached out to us, myself and Keegan, and was like, you people, why don't you come up with an Africa meetup group or something where you talk about R in Africa? And we're like, hey, okay, that's really nice. So these are some of our missions. I won't have to go through them, but I really love number 2, because when you talk with people who know R, they will tell you that, you know what? And by the way, disclaimer, I'm not here to show you why R is better than Python or why R is different from Python. We don't do that. Tools are just tools. So for me, I'm here representing R. If you find me in another meetup group talking about Python, don't condemn me. Anyway, so R is not only just a statistical software. There are so many things that it can do that we are not aware of. Like, I actually found out yesterday there's a certain package in R. I'll talk about packages that do so amazing things that I'm like, okay, I thought I know R. You know, you usually like, I thought I know R until someone posts something, I'm like, wait, I don't know that. And so yeah, it's awesome. And then something else we realized is that there are very many people who, 1, want to learn R, or 2, are learning R, but hatujuani. You know, we don't have this community. as compared to how in Kenya we have very many Python, I think, groups, right? In terms of R, we don't. So I remember one time I connected with some guy. He's the one, he's also involved with this on Twitter. And he's like, wow, he's from Nigeria. Like, wow, you use R? Yeah, I use R. What do you do? What do you use R for? Then we actually ended up having a Skype call. And we're like, you know what? I'm very sure we are very many people. It's not just you and me. So that's also one thing we are trying to encourage. Something else was our education system. I don't know how many people have learned R in school. R is being taught in school, but only up to a certain level. And it's so sad to say this, but like if you come for our interviews, most of the things we are going to test you on in R are maybe things you were not even taught. So that's one thing we need. And you know what? We cannot keep on crying, oh, people are graduating, they are not getting jobs, or who will help you? Have you ever heard of the saying, you have to help yourself? We have to have these such groups, such that when we meet here, we teach ourselves at the end of 2 hours, at least you've learned something new. And then also, Alfred mentioned about Indaba X. There are very many conferences that talk about, what do you call it? That deal with Python. So we are hoping that just introducing R, pole pole, mdogo mdogo tu, will let people like appreciate the importance of R. Again, I don't know who has applied for a job recently, a data analytics job. Which tool were they advertising for, Python or R? R, okay. I think it's because we've made noise. Nowadays, people are seeing the importance of R. But I remember when I was starting out in my career, I could see so many jobs advertising for Python. And let me tell you, even myself, it reached a point where I was so scared. I'm like, okay, the R I know might not help me to get a job. Let me delve into Python. At least when they call out the Pythonistas, I'm also a member. Yeah, and that's how actually I met with someone like Alfred. Yeah, in R, there are things that are called packages. One of the trainers will introduce this, but R is so amazing. You can do so much with it, especially, I know most of us are used to doing basic data analytics, visualizations, but you can do so much, especially, I don't know whether we have software devs here. We have deep learning in R using the Keras and TensorFlow packages. You can also build a website in R using Blockdown, and I'll show you this. So for the Africa R website, we are developing with R. It's not yet live, but we are somewhere. We are at least 50%. We also have a package in R that you can use to learn R. I don't know whether that makes sense. And it's so amazing. I hope by the end of today, everyone will have installed it. It's called Swal. So Swal is very interactive. Once you install it, it's like, okay, what name do you want us to call you? Let's say Shelmith. Good, Shelmith, welcome to R. This is a very awesome platform. You're going to learn 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And every time, it like prompts you to do something, and then when you're wrong, it's actually very encouraging. Like, don't worry, we know you're beginning, the next time you're going to do it. And then when you do something correct, it's like, wow, good job. Now we are ready to move on to the next stage. It makes your heart feel glad. I know I'm not the only one who likes being told sweet things. We have Swal. And then one other advantage of R is something we call R Markdown. For those who are guys in analytics, you know you have data, you analyze the data, and you produce plots, or maybe graph plots, tables. What do? There's no way, we no longer, for those people who know R but are not yet advanced, we no longer analyze data and then store graphs in like a folder somewhere. You write all your code in something we call an R Markdown, such that you have a code and the output, and maybe a documentation, something to talk about your output. At the end of the day, you just render. Think of rendering as take my code, take my output, take my explanations or report, synthesize it all together into one report. So when you're given this output, this is what I do every day at work. Most of my output is an R Markdown file. So that if someone comes and tells you that, you know what, Shelmith, the report you produced 3 weeks ago, we have new data, you don't have to write your code again. Just go at the beginning of the script, replace your data, assuming the format is the same, just run and give output. Because I think one thing about coding is that you have to make your code efficient. I know we know about efficiency. You can't have redundant codes or things everywhere. And then, so when we came up with Africa R, we had different ideas. So RUG in my presentation will mean an R user group. We have very many R user groups in the developed world, but then in Kenya, in Africa, I think we had just a number. We had, especially most of them are in South Africa. In R, in Nairobi, we didn't have one. In TZ, we didn't have one. In Uganda, it was launched recently. So one thing we want to do is ask or collaborate with the developed world for them to nurture our babies. Here, babies will mean like new RUGs. Like now, we are launching our Nairobi one today, right? There are very many things we may not know. How do you train people? How do you take care of people who are at beginner level, intermediate level, advanced level? How many meetup groups do we have, like, in a month? How do we know if people understand these things? You know, so it's all about matching developed our user groups. Like we have very many in Chicago. If you go on Twitter and type hashtag #RStarts, you'll find very many. So this is what we want to launch in July, and already we have people who've, who've said that they want to help us do this. So they're like, you know what, Shelmith, we are from some country, let's say Chicago, we want to adopt the Nigeria group. So every time we just nurture. Something else we want to do, I know this is very exciting for most people because people graduate and then there's that period of time when we are not really sure what next, right? I don't know if most of you know, but you can work remotely. You can work for a company that is even in India, while you're just in your house or even in your parents' house. So, sorry, because of time, I have too much. But yeah, this is something, we already have one. We have one guy, I think he's from South Africa. They have a company and they reached out to us if we can provide them with one person or two for an internship opportunity. And then, I've talked about that. Which continent is this? Those people who are good in geography? Sorry? North America. So North America has very many user groups. Sorry, this is a bit faint. But if you look at a place like Africa, it's nearly close to white. And as you can see from our legend, it's the number of our user groups. So we are hoping maybe in 1 year or 2 years, we'll have more user groups in Africa. This is just showing you some of our user groups that are in Africa right now. We have a difference between an R ladies group and an R user group. An R ladies group is not just for ladies, don't confuse that. If we ever come up with a Nairobi R ladies group, men are very much invited. The difference here is only ladies should be presenting. Only ladies should be organizers. Ask me about that later. And then we have, this is the website we are developing in R, the Africa R website. It's about 50 to 60% done. Once it goes live, we want to use it to host different things. One, we want to use it as a learning platform. If you want any materials to do with R, you can easily come here. If you're a person who blogs a lot or writes publications and you want your publications to be seen by the outside world, you can talk to us. These are just pictures of certain events that we've had so far. And then money, money, money. We need money. Because for example, now, today we are going to be having little drinks. When I say drinks, I mean soda. Drinks and just few snacks. But then you see we need money to pay for the venue. We need money to pay for the system. We need some of this money, right? And if what's come to us, maybe it will reach a point where we ask people to toa kitu kidogo, but we don't want to reach that level. So we have to look for sponsors. And yeah, then we also want to have a Grand Africa R Conference next. Sorry, I'm almost done. Next year, yeah. And then what we've done so far, basically, I've talked about this. If you want to see this, deck, you can look for me. But I think our major thing was to come up with the Africa R users. I hope you're tweeting. Please tweet. You can also see the handles on every corner of the room. Through this, we are able to reach a global community even while we are still in Nairobi. And we are able to connect the developed world and Africa. And especially the person who tweets for this, one of the things we like doing is sharing learning materials on that. And then some of our quick wins, I promise this is the last slide, second last. Some of our quick wins, we held our Kampala Conference. We call them Saturday. It's a whole day conference where people just come to learn about R. It was very, very successful, and yeah, it was beautiful. And one of the things we struggled with was funds. We didn't have money. Like two days to the event, we didn't know how to pull out these. So someone reached out to us and they're like, you know what, why don't you come up with a campaign? I don't know whether you know the GoFundMe thing. This is not really GoFundMe, but it's somehow similar to that. And within 2 days, we had enough money and overboard. So just because of the R Stats community, it's mentioned there. So that's okay. And then we presented, Data Science Africa is a conference that is used to just teach people about machine learning and AI, but mostly in using Python. So this was the first session. It was held, I think, last week, but sometime. We had our first R sessions, and it was so amazing, and at least people warmed up to it. And then Zindi, Alfred has talked about Zindi. I don't know if you can see my t-shirt, it's a Zindi t-shirt. Zindi is an African Kaggle. It's a platform where there are competitions, data science competitions that are held. You can just type Zindi Africa and you'll see more about it. Zindi works with ambassadors, and Alfred and myself are the Kenyan ambassadors. So if you want to learn data science or just data analytics and you don't have a data set to work with, just log on to Zindi, register, and you'll find very many data sets there. Our other quick win is that we'll be traveling for Use R Conference. This is a conference being held in France next month, and we are just going to present about the work we are doing in Africa. This is an encouragement for you people. If you ever see a conference somewhere being advertised, please apply. Why? Because there are always opportunities for diverse scholarships. Diverse scholarships are open to Africans, ladies, I don't know, some minority groups. Yeah, I'm done. Thank you. If you want to reach us, you can reach us through this email address. That's our Twitter handle. We are very active. If you want to send us a DM, our DM is open. Maybe you're not based in Nairobi, maybe you're based in a place like Eldoret, and you feel as though you will want us to take our train into Eldoret, you can always reach us through that. I'm done. Questions? Complaints?
So I want to ask if you are in connection with Rwanda group.
If I'm in connection with the Rwanda group. Yeah, we've been talking to them. I know a lot of people from AIMS use R. What we are doing with user groups, we are looking for people who are active to lead a group. Because right now, we have this audience, right? When we announce the next meetup, or when we leave this room, we are hoping that you'll be so expectant that you can't wait for the next meetup. So it's up to me to be active, or some of us to be active to have that. So for Rwanda, we've reached out to them, but we are also waiting for them to reach out to us. So we can help them come up with, also it's all about if there's a need to have an user group there. Yeah, so if you know someone, please ask them to DM us.